Hello, welcome to He's Hot But Something Is Off with me, Just Joey T. I'm back. Back from New York. We're not live from New York. I am back from New York. It is Tuesday as I record this, and I got back last night. So I actually vlogged the entire New York trip. I actually just edited it on my computer, and I used to vlog all the time. So how my YouTube channel got started was I saw other people on YouTube. This was 12 years ago. 12 years ago ish. And before I started my YouTube channel, that was like the very heydays. Those are some of the early days of vlogging. I think there were people that the OG vloggers were probably around 2009, 2010, in like the very early kind of YouTube days, kind of right around, give or take, when Google bought YouTube, I think. But like the OG YouTubers were from about like 13, 14, 15 years ago. Okay. And right before I started my YouTube channel, I saw some of these YouTubers basically. They were just vlogging, and vlogging was a little bit different. This is, I think this is maybe before Instagram. I don't know when Instagram came out. Way before TikTok, before Snapchat, before all that jazz. And for some reason, I thought, oh, this looks like fun. I can do that. This looks like a fun activity. And I decided to start my YouTube channel. And I was just vlogging my everyday life. And eventually, I got more into, like a few years later, I met some new friends. And I started traveling to like some of these gay events and gay parties. And because I was vlogging all the time, it was an interesting to vlog, right? Are you on a trip? Something interesting you don't do every day? I would go vlog it. And I would just upload it as part of my weekly vlogs. And then those kind of got a little bit more popular the more trips that I did. And that's how my YouTube channel evolved into kind of what it is today, which is just the videos are just focused on the gay parties and especially the gay cruises, because I love doing them so much, and I've done so many of them, and I found out that I had a lot of tips and advice to give about those. Yeah, so that's kind of how it evolved. So me vlogging in New York, it's really full circle. It's really kind of returning back to the very roots of my YouTube channel, holding my phone out in front of me, screen facing the other way. So I guess I might be a touch rusty doing it, because, well, two reasons why. The video is maybe not the most interesting vlog you've ever seen, partially because, well, one, I haven't vlogged in so long, and the way that I know how to vlog was the way I did it like 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 years ago. And I guess vlogging may or may not have evolved by now. I don't watch a lot of other people's vlogs, so I don't really know. I just vlog the way that I used to do way back in like my original YouTube days when my channel first started. But the second thing was, this was a work trip for collabs, and I didn't do any vlogging during the collabs when I met with these other people. It was just like a little too much to do that. So besides the collabs, I wasn't really there to do anything else. I wasn't there to like sightsee or do a bunch of other stuff. I did hang out with my friend Tim, who recently moved to New York. So I did hang out with him. But I guess just getting back into the act of vlogging, you don't always remember to like take your camera out when there's like something maybe interesting to whatever. Just getting back into the groove of, whipping out your camera regularly, consistently throughout the day, no matter what's going on, every single day of the trip, that takes a little bit of getting used to. So those are kind of like the two factors. It's a decent vlog. If you like to hear me talk with some visuals, I think it will be good. It still came out to like half an hour though of the vlogging. Obviously, a lot of it is just me talking. Um, but yeah, that vlog is going to go onto Patreon in its entirety. And I talked about wanting to start a Patreon, but obviously I need to build up some content. So with this New York trip and vlogging it was kind of sort of an experiment to see, do I still enjoy vlogging? And I still kind of do. Is this something that I think I can do consistently? Yeah, I think I can. I'm not gonna have like a vlog. I'm not gonna daily vlog and have a vlog every day. It's not even gonna be every week, but I think the focus is to start to vlog my travels, so a travel vlog. And it's more interesting when I'm traveling. I've got more stuff to talk about and to show you guys anyways. So I've got this New York trip. I have Taipei coming out, which is a longer trip, so I can do more vlogs, maybe multiple episodes, honestly, for Taipei, because I'm there for so many days. A lot of it is for collab, so it's how much interesting content I have. But yeah, I just spent some time right before this to think about, okay, what kind of benefits I can offer on the Patreon, the tiers and things like that. So, but I do want to get it off the ground. It's going to be less intense than doing OnlyFans. I feel like it's just a very different business. And yeah, so that vlog from New York is edited. If you want like absolutely all the juicy vloggy details, I'm trying to find a way to I'm trying to figure out how to post videos onto Patreon. Patreon don't let you host videos directly on their service. It's a service that they're trying to launch, but they won't host videos if you're a 18 plus Patreon page. I'm not going to be showing anything super graphic, but some of the topics I talk about are not going to be suitable for minors. So I made my page an 18 plus page, and because I do that, the Patreon video service is not available to me. So I got to put it onto YouTube, make it a private video, and then take that and embed it into a Patreon post for the paying subscribers to watch. As far as I gather, that's one way for it to work. So I figured out some of those details. I have my Discord server all set up. So yeah, I'm interested to I've not used Discord before, but I like the idea. I mean, the concept is not new. They used to have, chat rooms and, MIRC. I'm totally dating myself, by the way. All these types of things. Discord is just like the modern day version of that. So I think that would be fun. I want to do monthly live streams with the top tier subscribers. So I'm just kind of thinking it through a little bit. And part of me is just just don't overthink it. Just get the basics and launch. You can always iterate and kind of update and change things around. So yeah, I'm going to try to get it up and running for you early access podcast listeners. And I also want to offer some podcast specific perks. I definitely want to do an extra episode, a second episode of the podcast each week just for the subscribers. So hopefully I'll square away just a little bit more of the details. And then maybe in next week's episode of the podcast, I will announce and have it launched. And then whoever wants to kind of sort of do the first access, early access, you all can go take a look. Not to completely copy and just regurgitate everything from the vlog. I do hope a lot of you guys get to watch the vlog. But I'm still on my special diet, and I booked a place with the kitchen, which is great. I got groceries, and then I just cooked I cooked all my meals. The only exception was the last time that I was there, I was hanging with my friend Tim, and then we went and got sushi, because sushi, as long as you're not getting something super fancy, but most basic sushi rolls, there's only a very limited number of ingredients. If you get a salmon roll, is white rice, seaweed, and salmon. don't put spices really into like a salmon roll, a California roll. Those more basic type of rolls, you know exactly what's in it. And I can eat most of that type of stuff because uh, white rice, seaweed, and seafood are all completely okay on this diet. So yeah, she had just went and grabbed sushi with Tim. But that was the only meal that I actually ate out. Everything else I just cooked. I got groceries. Pretty much had the same diet as I normally do, and everything down there was completely fine. No issues with the collapse, so that's good. I know how to like manage it, and yeah, that part was fine. I did, it was really weird though. I went to a Whole Foods, which is fine. The nearest Whole Foods was like a little bit of a walk, but it was like kind of sort of like in the basement, like one level below ground. And it was like a maze. Like the layout was so weird. I guess I'm used to a grocery store where it's just a giant rectangle, and then they've got just straight aisles. I guess that's more like a suburban or like a California thing. I guess in the middle of New York City, you don't get nice rectangles to lay out your grocery store in. There's so many nooks and crannies for you to like walk through. It's like it's a very weird shape. Hopefully, it's like a very weirdly shaped grocery store. And there were aisles, but aisles were like tight and narrow. But then like some aisles would go one direction, and then suddenly you get aisles that go a different direction. I spent so much time finding peanut butter, and it was like in this back corner that's like, I don't know, it's just where the restrooms are or something. It's just something I noticed. There was a 7-Eleven that was right across the street from the hotel. And from the outside, even on the inside, it was like a newer, nicer, larger 7-Eleven. Most convenience stores, not very new, not very big, maybe like a little dark and dingy kind of. This was like very newly renovated, might be in a brand new 7-Eleven. Everything just looked like really new. High ceilings, quite large inside. And I did go there one time to buy Sour Patch Kids and a bag of chips. So I usually do not eat any junk food. Very rare. When I travel, especially on like a cruise or something, like a party trip with friends and stuff, I might have like a bit of candy. But usually when I'm traveling solo, I don't go like eat junk food. It's not like a thing. But I usually have potatoes in some way, shape, or form as part of my diet. It's one of the few staples of the groceries that I get. I usually get potatoes and I just throw them into the oven. This place doesn't have an oven. This hotel doesn't have an oven in the kitchen. And so I couldn't get potatoes as a way to like get some potatoes in, because I like potatoes. And kind of sort of as a treat, a little bit of a treat for myself for working so hard and doing all these collabs. It is work as well. I picked up a bag of chips when I went to Whole Foods the very first night that I was like, plane got in like the early evening. The first thing I did after I checked in the hotel was to go get groceries at the Whole Foods. So I picked up a bag of chips because I knew that basic potato chips that are not like some crazy flavor, just like regular salted potato chips, is just oil, potatoes, and salt. That's it. And all of those things are okay with the IBS SIBO condition. Picked a bag of chips, and I think the next day I did like my first collab, my first full day in New York. And then it was nighttime, and I was just like chilling, watching some TV. And I started eating like the bag of chips. And, when you first open a bag of chips, you eat one or two, and it's like, oh, I have this entire bag. Before you know it, 2/3 of the bag is gone. So I was there for 4 full days. I ended up eating 3 like regular sized bags of chips. And the last bag that I ate, I got 2 bags. I got the first bag from Whole Foods, and then midway through my stay, I was at a Trader Joe's to pick up just like some chicken and bananas or whatever. And I also picked up a bag of chips. And then near the end of my stay, I think it was like the second last night or like the last day that I was there. I just wanted chips. I just went across the street to the 7-Eleven and just bought chips. And I also picked up some Sour Patch Kids because it's my favorite candy. I don't talk about candy very much, but Sour Patch Kids is my favorite candy. So they had a small, just like a small tiny bag of it. So I got one of those. Yeah, so I ended up eating 3 bags of chips. I have totally forgotten how much I love chips. And last night, when I got back from New York, when the flight got back, I went to Pavilion's, the supermarket, because I knew my fridge was completely empty. I hadn't eaten dinner. I had some snacks on the plane. That was it. And before I got on the plane ride, I was connecting in Washington, D.C. I was in the lounge no, that was LaGuardia. No, back in New York, I got to the airport, had some time to kill, was in the lounge, and I had like some chicken that I wasn't sure if it was like IBS friendly. My trips to the toilet this morning told me they were not, but it wasn't a huge deal. Like nothing was rumbling, and there was no threat of rain until like earlier today, well after I got home, so MBD. But yeah, I was in the lounge, ate some stuff, because I didn't really have a lot of food. I didn't have a lot of time to eat. I couldn't eat any of even if I bought like one of the meals, like an actual meal, a burger or whatever, I couldn't really eat that. The stuff that they served on the planes not going to be compatible with my gut. So by the time I got all the way back from New York, I knew there's nothing in my fridge because I didn't leave any perishable foods in my fridge. So I was like, okay, I kind of sort of need groceries eventually anyways because my fridge is completely empty because I've been gone. So I went to the grocery store and I walked by the chips and I really wanted to get the chips. But not really wanted to get the chips, but I was like, I definitely noticed the chips and I just have to walk by it. This morning I went to the gym. I had a pretty good gym session actually. And there's the Trader Joe's where my gym is. And that's where I get most of my groceries when I'm home. So most gym days, which is like 5 days of the week, after I go to the gym, I'll go downstairs to the Trader Joe's and pick up just like a few things. I'll pick up just a small, like 2 or 3 things, whatever I'm low on. Most of the time it's bananas, because the bananas go ripe super fast. So you should pick up a couple bananas, and then depending on what else I'm low on, some chicken or some eggs, some strawberries, tomatoes, potatoes, whatever it is. And today, I'm also very acutely aware of the chips that were in the Trader Joe's. I wasn't looking for the chips. I wasn't even thinking about chips on either of these trips, last night or today. But I somehow noticed out of the corner of my eye the potato chips, even though I wasn't thinking about them and I wasn't trying to buy any. But somehow my eye noticed the potato chips. Yeah, so that was that. Me and Tim, we in addition to grabbing dinner, before we got dinner, I got to his place around like 5 o'clock or something like that. So we had a little bit of time to kill before dinner time. And we just grabbed a coffee and we're just walking all around Hell's Kitchen. So he got a place in Hell's Kitchen. And then we just kind of like took like a leisurely stroll, kind of sort of the streets. But it was very nice weather in New York when I was there. It was in like low to mid 70s. It did get cooler at night, but it wasn't like freezing cold. I think it got down to, I don't know, somewhere in the 60s-ish range. So it wasn't super cold, but it was just very nice weather. It was pretty much sunny every day that I was there. There wasn't any rain. And yeah, it was just nice to like walk around New York. It's so weird that I haven't been in New York in quite a while. And every time the last few years that I've been to New York, it's been for work. And I didn't really go that much into Hell's Kitchen for any reason. I'm not a bars person. I don't go to clubs usually as well. But even now, there are a lot of places where I'll like in Hell's Kitchen where like I'll walk by and be like, oh, I ate at that restaurant, or like, oh, I've been to that bar, or like, we went to this club. It's so weird. I don't know of any other place on earth where like it's a place I've never lived in before, and it's somewhere that I haven't visited in a while. But like I'll just randomly walk by an establishment, uh, a cafe, a bar, a restaurant, a club, or whatever, and be like, oh, I know exactly when I was there and like who I was with and like what we were doing and why we were there. So it's actually really, really weird. New York's one of the few places where I have this like weird kind of like photographic memory, like snapshots of like different times that I've been there and hung out at these different places. That part was like really weird. The collabs themselves were all pretty good. I did 5 collabs. I almost did a 6, but you know the timing didn't work. It was like a little bit last minute. It was one I would have tried to squeeze in, but it was really MBD to not do that 6 one. But like if I got 3, I would have been like that would kind of sort of would have been like the minimum in a way. And for like the first initially on the trip, I was like, there's a chance we might only end up getting 3, but we got 5, which is actually like that 5 is a good number. 6 would have been like really awesome. 6 is like more than I would have expected, honestly, realistically. But like 5 is really good. 5 is a good number. So it's good for my backlog because it's good to have like several weeks of content queued up for the upcoming weeks. So that if something happens, you take a trip or you have to work on something else, blah, 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 you always want to have content that is kind of scheduled to go up over like the next upcoming several weeks, not just for OnlyFans, but in any time when you're like a content creator and there's an expectation for you to post regularly. It could be a podcast. It could be people doing YouTube videos, people doing TikTok, I guess to a lesser extent, TikTok and Instagram Reels, because, well, I mean, if you're like, like an influencer on TikTok or Instagram, you are expected, whether you know it or not, to be posting regularly. You might not have like a schedule where you say like, oh, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll post a video, or like not to that level. But if you're not putting out content regularly, the audience kind of starts to like wonder and go somewhere else. That content creation is a little bit vicious in that way. Yet once you get going and you have like a following, you have to post regularly to retain that audience. Oh my god! I just bit my tongue so bad. You have to really like post regularly, and it's kind of like a hamster wheel a little bit. Once you get in a hamster wheel, it's hard to get off. You might have heard of some really big like YouTubers or some really big creators where they decided to like quote unquote take a break, or they decided to like just stop, just basically pare back how much and how often they post new content. And then there are also some YouTubers who are like, they decided, okay, I'm done with this part of my career. I'm gonna go move on and do something else and not be a content creator anymore. But once you get in the hamster wheel, it's hard to get off. Some of like the really, really big creators, I think they can afford to like take a bit of a break, and it'll be like okay. But they kind of sort of plan it, and there's some thought, and it's not like something that comes all of a sudden. Like Trixie Mattel, for example, I do watch some of her YouTube stuff. I don't religiously follow her on YouTube, but she is a content creator. She's a YouTuber in the sense that she's been putting out content regularly on YouTube for years. Like she drops a video like at least once every week, and she's been doing it for like several months. I don't know how long she's been doing it for. I think at least like a couple years. So, she never explicitly said, I will post videos I always post X videos every week. I don't think she's been like explicit about having that promise or guarantee. But once you get into the habit of posting regularly, like weekly, even though you don't promise it, people start to expect it because that's what you've been doing. But she's been on like quote unquote like a break from YouTube. I think she said she's gonna be taking like a break from drag or YouTube or whatever for 2 or 3 months. But while she's been taking this break, she still has content lined up for the channel. So some of the stuff she just pre-recorded. She just did like a product announcement a couple of weeks ago for something that her cosmetics company was going to release like around this time. And, she pre-recorded a video for that so that there would be a video of her announcing the launch like on YouTube. And then she had invited some people she know or guests to come and do like a takeover. So even if you are going to go take a break, you can't just basically, as a established creator, just go completely radio silent and have no content. If you plan on returning, if you're just really taking like a temporary break and you plan on returning, you kind of sort of want to have something, some amount of content, even if it's not you in all of that content. You need something to go up while you're away, basically. But yeah, it's also useful for other reasons. Like, what if I get sick, I get the flu or something else happens, blah, 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 blah. And, so that's where the backlog really comes in handy. So just have that buffer so you can go work on other things, because you can't be creating content every single week. It's much easier and much more efficient to create content in batches. Like, that's why I went to New York, filmed a bunch of content, so that I can pre-schedule it for the upcoming weeks. So that's how content creation is really done, honestly. But all the collabs went really well. Met a lot of sweet people, really nice people. Yeah, and those will be coming up. My backlog was like very low up until New York, but now my backlog is until I've got collabs lined up until November, like the start of November, basically. So, and then after Taipei, it will probably be filled up all the way to the end of the year. So there you go. But yeah, it was not like the most, absolutely most, I don't have a million stories from New York, to be like really, really honest. In some ways, it was like a slightly boring trip. I mean, eating really plain foods and just having a lot of sex. Well, I guess sex isn't that boring. But this is not that type of a podcast where I go into the details of that. So there you go. Okay. We will have another episode of the podcast, a regular episode of the podcast next week. A lot of you my last podcast had a lot of comments on it. And please keep commenting. I'd love to see your comments. And I'm going to tackle some of those comments in next week's podcast. And for the week after that, I will be in Taipei. So 2 weeks from now, I'll be in Taipei, and I'll have something pre-recorded for you guys. But then after, I think right around Halloween's on a Thursday this year. Halloween, October 31st is on a Thursday this year. So that's 3 weeks from now. On Halloween, we're not going to have some Halloween special, because I don't really do Halloween. But for that episode, I'll be back from Taiwan by then. We'll have gone home a few days before Halloween. And we'll talk about my trip to Taipei. So there's a little preview for things that are coming up. And hopefully I get some amount of the Patreon launch next week or within the next couple of weeks. And this is where it's going to break. And the other update I have is the other business. It's so close to launching. So here it is. I just did a test order. Basically, I just placed an order for myself, one of each of the products to ship to my own house. I just placed that order. I just need to know that it works. Like when I get the package and I open it up and I see my products, like I already have copies of my own products, because for testing and just throughout this whole process, I have like several of each of the products already. But like to basically know that, this particular set of products is through a real order that was placed on the website that I created. And therefore, I know that all the logistics works. But the other, the products that I already have now, they were either prototypes or test samples directly from the manufacturer. Okay, none of it gone through like Shopify or like the fulfillment by Amazon or like my own website or anything like that. So this is actually like a real live order placed on my own website. So as long as that works, because I don't have any like firsthand experience, with like the fulfillment of this like whole setup. So once that comes, it will kind of sort of be like the final milestone before the soft launch, which is again going to be mainly with friends and family because I want people that I know and trust and therefore will just give me feedback to try out the ordering at least, and just know that just get more experience with how customers actually find the experience of like the website, the ordering experience, the delivery experience, the unboxing experience, and things like that. Before I start to widely push and try to like advertise and spread the word about that other business. And I think I can give you all podcast listeners early access as well. So when I do the soft launch, once that's ready, and the only final thing I'm waiting for is that I just want this first live real order that I place as like a test, basically. Once that works and I have that package in my hands, it should be here in like a couple of days. Then that's where I'm going to do the soft launch, which is selected friends and family and whatever. But also I will announce it here on the podcast. So I can finally tell you guys very, very soon this other thing I'm working on and get you guys' feedback. And if you guys want to buy something from it, the website will actually be live by then. So yeah, that's very exciting. So subscribe, like the podcast, stay tuned. We hopefully got lots of like super cool. This could be a super cool month with the soft launch. And I just did New York to kick it off, which is great. And we're going to go to Taipei. So, and then maybe launch the Patreon. So much shit is going on. So yeah, follow, stay tuned, and I'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.